Hello, this is Amy. Did someone else just join the call?
Good morning. It's Marie Kamel.
Hi, how are you today?
Thank you, Amy. How are you?
I'm good. We're going to get started in about 5 minutes or so. So we're just kind of hanging out until everybody gets on the line. Once
Sure,
everybody
not a
gets
problem.
started, John Elison, our CEO and founder, and Chuck Fowler, our VP of Sales, will both be on.
Okay.
Where are you calling us from today?
Temple Pines, Florida.
Oh, super. I can see that we had someone else join. Can I get your name, please?
Hi, this is Francisco Ortega, and I'm calling from Lodi, California.
Well, hello. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine, thank you.
Good. We are going to get started here in just a few minutes. So, again, I don't like to mute everybody out on this call because it is very interactive the whole time. So what I ask is that if you guys have any dogs or doorbells or on hold, just remember that if you put us on hold and there's on hold music, we all get to hear it, and that's not very fun. So if you have any loud noises in the background, just try and mute us out so that it doesn't interrupt the call, but yet we can keep it interactive so when you're ready to say or ask something that you have the ability, okay?
Got it.
Did we have some more joiners while we were chatting?
Yep, this is Tony from PA.
Well, hello, Tony. It's Amy Z. How are you?
Good, Amy. How you doing today?
Good.
Good.
We are just, I was just explaining that the muting system helps a lot to, if you guys mute us out, if there's anything going on in the background, just because it gets kind of crazy. We can get up to 60 people on this call sometimes. So.
Yeah, I know. I usually do that because
right.
I'm always doing something. I'm not just sitting, so I just mute it out.
You're not?
It's time for me to do something.
You're not just sitting? That doesn't surprise me at all, Mr. Tony. I love it. Did we have some other joiners that I didn't get you checked in? All right, that's all right. You can be shy out there. It's okay. I'll allow it this time. Hello, everyone. I see lots of people joining. My name is Amy. I'm here at the corporate office in Minnesota. Very excited that you're all here with us today. We're going to get started here in about 5 minutes. Just wanted to remind everybody it is an interactive call today, so we don't mute anybody out, but I would ask that if you have some loudness going on in your background that you would mute us out. Sometimes there's dogs barking, and sometimes people like to put us on hold and forget that they have on-hold music, so that makes it very interesting. So again, it's interactive the whole time. I'm not going to mute anybody out unless it gets crazy background noise, then I'll have to. But if you could do this, mute us out if it gets loud in the background, that would be awesome. We have a large group today, so it should be very interesting. I'll do my very best if I hear loud noises to mute people out, but I like to keep it all open. Hello, hello. I see we have more joining. Welcome to the Monday Morning Acceleration. Let's get this week started off right. Is that Mr. Nelson I see joining us this morning?
Good morning. How are you?
Fantastic. How are you?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. I'm going to mute myself because I'm in the car, so, okay?
Perfect. Thank you. Again, everybody, I know I've said this a couple times, but I do keep it open. We like everyone to be interactive on this call on Monday mornings, but with this large of a group, it gets kind of crazy. So if you have anything going on in the background, please mute us out so I don't have to mute you out. And then if you have a question, you can just unmute yourself and ask. Just helps eliminate all that background noise. But I certainly will keep an eye on it. If something gets too loud, I will mute it out and then again unmute it. So interactive, we want everyone to participate today, but it's a very large group. So just keep that in mind. Don't put us on hold and let us listen to all your fun background music because that doesn't work so well on a conference call.
Hey, Amy.
I'm glad that you're all here. Hello?
Oh, hello, Amy. This is Cam.
Well, hello.
Hey,
Cam.
Ray
How's
Shapiro.
it going today? Hi, Ray.
How are you doing?
How's it going? I am
Good.
fantastic. The sun is shining here in cold Minnesota. I'm looking at all the different states calling in, wishing I was not in Minnesota. But the sun is shining. That's all that matters.
Praise
if I
the
look
Lord.
out the window, it always looks good. But Georgia's looking much better. We have a super large group today, guys, so I've said it a couple times. I just want to remind everybody to please remember that it's open forum. I want everyone participating. But if there's anything crazy going on in your background, if you could just mute us out, that would be fantastic. I'll keep an eye on it, and if anything gets crazy on this end, I'll mute it out and try and unmute it in case you have a question or a comment to make. But again, if your dog starts going crazy or the kid starts crying or the doorbell's ringing, just throw us on mute quick, and we'll keep it very open today. Participation is very much welcome and appreciated. This one is not muted out.
You're not going to mute me?
Well, I might.
You might just mute me. That's typical. I'm used to that by now. I'm used to it.
Welcome. Here we go. Let's take it, boys.
All right.
All right.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Chuck. This is John Eliason. I hear Chuck Fowler there. I hear Cam. Who else? Oh, I know there's a lot of folks on, but you wanna grab the mic and run, Chuck?
Yeah, I can. We were talking this morning about these calls are. I love these calls because there's so much ground we can cover, so many things going on in the industry. We have a lot of people here who are doing it and doing it every day extremely successfully. And we got an email from actually a merchant, and we wanted to talk about this. Actually took over a different topic we were going to discuss, but we got an email from one of our customers that said they received a flyer that was talking about EMV changes. The sound thing. I wonder if Amy's able to correct that. All right. Got a flyer from one of our competitors, and what our competitor was talking about was the EMV change that's coming in October. Smart card and having the right equipment, and what it means to the merchant if they're not set up to accept EMV, and luckily we have a good relationship with this client, so they called us or they shot us an email saying, hey, what's going on with this? So, when I heard about that this morning, two things came to mind. Number one is look at your existing portfolio and make sure that your merchants understand what's going on and understand that by October, by October, merchants are going to be required to run EMV transactions. Basically what that means is, you guys all see the cards with the little computer chip in them? You guys see those?
Yeah.
The smart cards? Okay, so what's going to happen is that and if you're not EMV ready, and that means having a terminal that you can push it into the bottom of the terminal and the cardholder keys their PIN, if you're not ready for that, whatever fraud happens, if you're not taking EMV, the merchant's 100% liable. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that merchants have everybody's upgraded their equipment that they need, and they're ready for this. And because our competition's knocking on your merchant's doors saying, look, you're not ready, we need to get you ready. And we have kind of a guest speaker today who's doing a really good job of going to his existing portfolio, and I'm going to have him step in here in a minute, Cam, if you don't mind, brother. And he's going to talk about, I'd love to hear what Cam is saying to his folks and what that means, but he's upgrading all his merchants that aren't EMV ready. He's making sure they're ready instead of letting the competition come in, using that as a toehold to get in and try to take your merchants from you. So, Cam, you on the call? I heard you.
Yeah, sure. I sure am, Chuck. What I did is what I was interested in doing is I had one of my clients call me and say, Cam, I've got a call about these smart cards and so forth, and what's this all about? And I didn't want to get another call like that. So what I did is I tried to be as proactive as I could, and I looked into my portfolio and I saw all of the clients that I had that were not going to be EMV compatible and so forth. And I called them all and made a list and started calling them and said, listen, what I want to do is be proactive with you about these new EMV or smart cards that the banks are issuing. And you probably have heard about this already. But if you haven't, what I want to do is make sure that you are going to be compatible with these new smart cards that all the banks are now issuing, and will do so in 2015. And it was amazing the response that I got, and I sold a lot of equipment, and I started doing this in October. I sold a ton of equipment in October. But the other thing that was cool is the ones that said, "Well, I'm not ready to do it, but right now," and so forth. When should we do it? I said, "Listen, let's don't wait any longer than April. Let's try to get everything done at least at the beginning of the second quarter of the year, and you won't have to worry about this anymore." And it also gave them 6 months to plan for the thing. And what it did is it kind of cemented again the relationship that I have with my clients, that I'm looking out for their well-being and staying on top of it. And the other thing too is that I'm kind of precluding people calling my clients and doing something before I've had a chance to.
Excellent. How many would you think you? What has that meant to you?
I sold about 25 in October, and then I've got probably another 50 to sell.
Wow. Do you have any idea what you're averaging per sale?
Yeah. What I did is I marked the equipment up so that I would make at least $250 per sale.
So just in going back to your existing portfolio, which you've only gone a third of the way to as far as the ones that weren't EMV ready,
right.
You've generated basically $6,200 worth of revenue in a month.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then you have about twice that to go. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, Chuck, that is working for me with this is that I'm going in with some people that have not bought from me or converted over to us yet as a part of the deal, that I'm really looking out for you. I want you to have the best equipment that you can have. I want you to be completely on top of the technology that's happening and want to be able to give you the best program that you can have.
Excellent. Well, and I think that's when you look at that, about three big things are going on. I mean, one, you're solidifying the relationship with your current portfolio. You're making sure they have what they need. And, you probably could have sold this to them before, but I remember doing a couple deals. You go, we'll do when it's time. We'll make sure you're taken care of, which they appreciate, not having to spend the money until it's time. Secondly, I think going back to merchants that you spoke with in the past that weren't quite ready to make the change, it's a great lead-in. You're able to go in and go, look, I know you weren't, timing wasn't right for you before, but are you EMV ready yet? And they go, well, what is that? And then it's helping you close more business. So, I mean, plus the third, I think the great part about it is that you're able to generate a lot of almost, I don't want to say free revenue because it's not. I mean, it takes work to do that, but it's almost like unexpected revenue. It's a way to go back to your current database and generate a heck of a lot of revenue, which, I mean, you're looking at 20,000.
Yeah, they really do appreciate it. It really does cement the relationship that you have with them. Mm-hmm. They appreciate your calling them and appraising them of what's going on in the marketplace, and that you're helping them stay on top of it.
Right. Well, and you know what, guys, the big thing here is that if they're not EMV compatible by October, really they're opening themselves up for a lot of potential fraud. Because if something happens where they're not taking, if they're not getting the PIN or they're not reading the card through the EMV, the merchant, well, remember when PCI came out? What was that PCI video? If you haven't seen it, I believe it's still on their website. A merchant got taken for almost $100 and something thousand. So, once fraud happens and people get in, start stealing credit card information because you're not running EMV, I mean, you don't catch it. You don't catch it until it's too late, and it can sink a merchant. Well, if a merchant has to come up and they're liable for that $100,000 or whatever else, they can't make it. It'll force them out of business. So you're protecting them by making sure they get EMV compatible. So what do you figure you make about 20? Go ahead. Somebody else is going to say something.
Well, this is John Eliason. The email, essentially the email though that we got from the merchant, they're saying, well, because all these merchants are curious. They hear bits and pieces, but they don't know what this is. And so there are different people on this call. One is like Cam, who's got a bunch of merchants, and he's going to them and saying, look, I'm taking care of you. I know you've heard about this, but we'll make sure you get the right stuff in the right amount of time. What about the people? So all our merchants need to be talked to about this. Your merchants, your clients need to be talked to about this, because if you don't, the competition will. And sometimes your clients will go, well, shoot, man, my guy or gal's not getting back to me. They must either not understand, don't care about me. Yeah, I'll go with somebody who's, man, because they might say, if you don't have a great rapport relationship with your client and keep in regular contact, they might go, well, man, they set me up and never came back anyway. What do they care? They just, if they really did care, they'd let me know about, all kinds of things creep into their mind. Because we're human, they're human, and sometimes your competition will maybe say things that aren't quite true, but scare them into going with your competition. And so you want to avoid that, because then the merchant's gone away, they've signed to somebody else, they've got updated equipment, they're not going to come back to you anytime soon. So and then so you want to prevent loss. I guess there's two plays here. One is to prevent loss, but now the table can also be turned. You can be the one, not that you're going to go out and strike fear into people around town, but maybe you could plant the seed that you're the one in town that's really up to speed. All these merchants, probably, I don't know what small percentage of the merchant population actually is EMV compatible, but it's low. And so you have
it's very low.
Very low. You have a fantastic opportunity wherever you are. There are very few opportunities that come along where that's not true. Every day you have all the opportunity in the world to talk to as many merchants as you can, and how big a market share do you want to gobble up, and how fast do you want to do it. You can do that at any time. You don't need EMV. It's just EMV gives you news. It's something that merchants, it's kind of, they've heard about it. They know they should be concerned about it, but all of them don't have the right stuff. You can be the one to wheel in there and take that from the competition, just like you don't want it taken from you. So there's two real big plays that you can make dependent on where you are. And some of us on the call have a lot of merchants, and you want more, so you can make both plays.
Right. Well, I love the fact that you, like Cam mentioned, that you're going back to people that didn't switch before that you spoke with, and like John said, you're going back with something new because you're talking about EMV. And I like your approach, Cam. Just go, hey, just wanted to take care of you and make sure that you do know this is out there and it's coming to a head. It's not something that you can pass over and not deal with. I mean, everybody's going to have to deal with it. And well, geez, my current guy hasn't even said anything to me about it. No, exactly. This is one of the things that I was trying to convey to you up front, is this is the service level that you get when you work with myself and First Financial, is that we want to make sure that you're ready when you need to be ready, and open up doors to get new business.
Yeah,
that's
what
a neat little thing.
Is that the whole landscape is changing in 2015, and you need to be on top of it. Right. Well, I just love that, me, I love that the dollars and cents of it. I mean, you're looking at adding, $20,000 to the bottom line this year just off EMV upgrades. Exactly.
I mean, that's That's not a bad little deal. I mean, that's because you've done a great job building a good portfolio that you can go back to, and you build the relationships right, and they go back, they trust you already, you've shot them square, and now you're able to upgrade them. Wow, that's great. That's really great. What other things do you guys have going on out there? You know, we talk a lot here about like bottlenecks. You know, there's things that you know you just run along really well, and then there's things you run into that trip you up or you don't understand. You know, what are some things that are going on out there for you guys? So we're going to see everybody's going to write 3 deals today, right? So, okay.
Well, Chuck, I don't know.
Yeah. Hey.
Chuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Ray Shapiro in South Carolina.
Hey, Ray.
Hey, how you doing? Just wanted to ask a question, and it's just something that might help some other people as well as myself. Down here in the South, we run into a lot of situations where our competitor is doing a loaner type program. I was up against somebody just recently where they're offering a loaner, and that was the thing. I didn't tie it down as well, and next minute I know, he was mentioning how he got a free terminal, use of a free terminal, even though he was having problems. How do you overcome that objective?
Well, the interesting thing is, obviously there's 2 sides to this business. There's the equipment side, and then there's the bank relationship side. The equipment is an interesting one because, we do run across where people go, well, I'm getting a free terminal. And I don't know about you guys, but I was always told growing up there's no such thing as a free lunch kind of deal. And
Sure.
And what I try to relate to the merchant is go, look, and I even say that. I go, there's no such thing as a free lunch. I mean, if somebody's paying for this terminal, it's probably you. And how you pay for that is we have to look at the banking side of your relationship and make sure that the banking side makes sense. I mean, because let me ask you, if you could spend, if it cost you, and I'm just using this as an example, if it cost you $30 more a month in fees to have a quote-unquote free terminal, wouldn't you rather buy one and save $30 a month?
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's like, well, of course. I mean, it's kind of like the difference between renting and owning, I guess. People go, well, you rent, you never get any equity. Well, you do for your landlord, but you don't get any. So,
right.
And you got to realize, I mean, and Ray, you've written a fair amount of business. You're getting to the point where your portfolio produces a fair amount of revenue for you. And this is where, when you're new in the industry, let's say you go head-to-head against someone who's been doing it 5-10 years, and they've got $10,000 or $8,000 a month in residual income coming in, and they look at this account and they go, well, I could let this guy use a quote-unquote loaner terminal that cost me $300. Well, it's going to cost me $300 to give him a loaner terminal, but I'm going to make $200 in a conversion bonus from First Financial, and I know I'm going to make $30 a month on this deal in residual income. Heck, I'd do those deals all day long.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? I don't know if it cost me $300 for a terminal that I could let a guy quote unquote borrow or use for something that I'm going to make $30, $40 a month on. Heck yeah. How many of those can I get out there?
Right.
So, you got to kind of weigh that stuff out, and that's why, we've been real fortunate in being able to come up with the compensation program the way we have it, where you guys have paid a pretty generous conversion bonus on the profitability. Sometimes you got to use that conversion bonus to put it's kind of like, you guys ever see those like vending machine businesses? My
Right.
sister-in-law did that one time. She bought all these vending machines at an auction, and she went around, she placed them all over the place. And I remember talking to her, and she goes, yeah, I put this one in the hospital. The vending machine unit itself had 5 or 6 different machines on it. She goes, yeah, it cost me $300, but, I'm making like $80 a month in all my candy. I go, well, that's a good investment. Spending, $500 or $300 to make $80 a month from now until the end of time. That's great. So you got to kind of look at it that way. These terminals are like your little toll bridges. They're like your little vending machines. They're, so you got to look at your budget to see how to get around a situation like that. And then it boils down to relationship. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and I know you're good at that. You build great relationships with your clients, and I would still try to get a copy of the guy's statements if you couldn't seal the deal. Get a copy of his new statement, and let's see if he's really getting what he thought he was supposed to get. Because my guess is he's not.
Well, the thing about it is he's been burnt several times, but I don't know what it is with some merchants. This guy's probably in his 60s, mid-60s, late 60s. And he's been in the liquor business for, ages. But the thing about it is he knows he's had problems with their terminal where, it's been cutting off. And not only that, but the list goes on. And he's being overcharged. And we showed him where he's being overcharged. But yet, I guess it's a matter of rapport and not, not him trusting me as much as, we would like him to at this point in time.
Well, and that's what it is. It's all based on rapport, man. You can lay the best deal in the world out against someone else who's got better rapport than you do, and you'll still lose. Because it all boils down to that. It all boils down to that rapport and trust. And you know what, but, and it's like I think back to what Cam was saying. Hey, I went back to people that I didn't get the first time with something new. So just because you didn't get him today doesn't mean you're not going to get him down the road. You just got to keep him in your data and keep following up with him. So
Thanks.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Thanks, Ray. I appreciate that, man.
No problem.
Any other bottlenecks? Anything that you guys are running into? No. Definitely use. Go ahead.
This is Bill Lord from New York.
Yeah, Bill, go ahead.
Okay, I was on a call last week, and I did try to sign up that new client of mine. And as you mentioned, it was all predicated on past prior experiences. Apparently, the processing company that we leverage, which is First Data, I guess they had early on a bad relationship. But I told them, it's like a car. It's all good. But then I went back to me and I realized that early on in marketing, they always tell you to make three circles. One is the folks that will never change. They have started out and they had, that's their comfort zone. There's a second person. There's a second ring where there's a group of people that, on the kind of the fringes. They kind of like not happy where they are, but would like to move on. And then there's a third group of people that, hey, we've tried this, it hasn't worked, and we're ready to move on, always looking to move forward. So I didn't take it as a loss, but I ended up trying to sign up one of the largest growing companies here in the Northeast. I'm in the process of negotiating with this spare parts company. But that being said, it goes back to the conversation you had before. You just have to keep trying. They may come around, but just keep in mind we can't win them all, but we definitely put our best foot forward.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. And that's what it is. I mean, it's just you can't win them all the first time. And I don't know how many merchants I've had to court over, like I'm talking 2 years to finally get them. But that's that stick-to-itiveness that and you're right, Bill. You're exactly right. Just can't get them all, but you just keep coming around and keep circling around and keep circling around. And what you'll find is, at some point, someone's going to have a bad experience, or you're going to be able to strike a chord with them. But as we talked about in the very beginning of the call, when you go back, try to go back with something new. Something that you didn't discuss, whether it be EMV or, a year from now EMV is going to be old news, but, maybe you didn't talk to them about the give back. What is it that we can go back to them with something new that will be beneficial for them? That's exactly right. And then someone else was going to say something? Someone else had a question? No? All right, awesome. For those of you guys that have, go ahead. You want to say something? No? Okay. You know what, you
Chuck,
guys that have, yeah, go ahead.
Chuck, my phone's breaking up. This is Tony over in Pennsylvania. I just had a general question on this, the EMV requirements. If you have a merchant, Chuck, that, like, say, for example, you're ordering something online okay, from a company that's 4 states away, and you're going to pay for it with your card. Well, they don't have that chip in front of them to process, so everything's going to be typed in, the information. How does the EMV requirements connect with that? How does that interact with that? What happens in that case?
Well, in that case, they're not going to, it depends on what, if you're ordering from a mail order company or something of that sort, they're not going to have, they're not reading the card. They're just taking the card number, and it's going to run how it runs today. In the EMV really comes into play when you're looking at a retail scenario.
Okay, right.
So
yeah, because I had a merchant say that to me. Well, we don't actually see the card. The information comes in over the phone, and we manually input the data. So how's that going to affect me? I said, well, it won't affect you unless you take a card, because the card reader has to be in place. Otherwise, the code, the information from the chip, is not going to be available.
Right.
So there's still an element of risk, even if they take one a month, for example.
Well, if they're if they're taking a retail card, then they've got to be EMV compatible. I mean,
right.
You got to, So if it's a mail order business or something of that nature, there's different rules that apply for mail order, or it's not even called mail order, it's keyed basically now, but
keyed, right.
Keyed transactions. So, but then those are great businesses, because not everybody and their brother's knocking on the door of somebody that does a bunch of keyed business, because they're not like a local retail storefront. So, anytime you have access to something like that, you really got to monopolize on that. And get in there and see, what are you guys using now to process? Can we use it? I don't know. Give me your statements. Let me see what I can do for you. Are you PCI compliant? Are you, there's other things we can do with that.
Right. Okay. I just want to make sure I understood the new rule as far as the EMV requirement was concerned, because you have that 3-digit code now, which came into effect. I guess it's been running a while now, where some of the merchants will ask for that, some don't. I was surprised. That has to be an additional way to be sure that the card that they're accepting is legit, I guess, for the owner, for the people who own that card. I mean, I don't know what that 3-digit code actually means,
Right. Well, it's a CCV code on the card. It's a security code that's on the back of the card.
Right.
That it's mail order. If you don't put it in, it downgrades to cost you more money. If you're not putting in information.
Okay.
So, you want to get, and I get it. Even now, knowing what I'll run transactions, or I'll call in somewhere and they won't ask me for that. And it's like, wow. And then I go, what are you guys using to process? And they go, we got a XYZ terminal. And I'm going, wow, do you guys key all your transactions? Yep. And I go, wow, and then you go, you got to get into it with them. It's a great, but see, there you go. It's a great lead-in for you. Because if you're not gathering that stuff, and you're opening yourself up for liability. So,
that's a good point.
Security's a big issue. Yeah, security is a big issue anywhere today. I mean, the more stuff that gets put out in public with the advent of the internet and the stuff that's floating around out there, security becomes more of an issue. And you got to realize these terminals nowadays, they're not running on analog phone lines anymore. They're running on data. So because that data's floating around, people are trying to, every step, there's always someone trying to get in to get that data. So you just try to stay one step ahead of the criminal, I guess. So it's a great conversation topic to get in with the merchant. But so use EMV next week, same bat time, same bat place. Not sure what our topic will be yet. We got someone have a question? Yeah.
Actually, my name is Terrence, and I am in Birmingham, Alabama, and I am brand new. Bill Swinglehurst is my contact person.
Excellent.
And up until I connected with you all, I was doing a lot of back-end consulting for people who have websites and everything regarding their e-commerce. And there's an organization right now that I've been helping, and they have PayPal as their, that's the way that they do their online transactions. So I've already sent 2-month statements to Bill, and I guess I just want to really learn how to get into the conversation with anyone about how to deal with their e-commerce using our our stuff. I don't even have a better term right now because, like I said, I'm new. I'm just trying to learn everything. So what do you think about that?
Well, I think you're on the right track. I mean, obviously you're in that arena. You're talking to people in that arena already, so this is a great kind of a segue or a product to dovetail into what you're doing already. Basically when you run transactions over the internet, you use what they call a gateway. They happen to be using PayPal for the processing. PayPal has their own gateway, which they're using, which is fine. We can actually use PayPal's gateway. So that'll be nice for the merchant. They don't need to change any of their website kind of stuff. We just go in on the back end and enter our bank information so they can use the same gateway. So, when I'm dealing with the merchant when they're online processing, the question I ask them is, what gateway do you use? And I might ask them, what do you like about it? Or what don't you like about it? We have our own gateway that we use through FDR, which is pretty darn slick. It's got some decent analytics stuff. So that's an option for them if they're not satisfied. But a lot of times with that, gateways are kind of like terminals in the sense of you can just reprogram the gateway to run through us as opposed to whom they're using now. Because remember earlier when I go, there's two sides to the deal. There's an equipment side, then there's the bank relationship side.
Yeah.
The equipment side in this scenario is just the gateway. That's what they're using is the gateway to base. Because, someone's not sitting there at 3 o'clock in the morning and they're tighty-whities running these transactions. I mean, these things happen, automatically, right? So that's what these gateways are for. No problem. We just put our information in and we run it through our system. Sometimes you'll run into scenarios where their gateway's not compatible and we just need to switch it out. It's not that big of an issue. And we know that side really well. So if you go in and you go, hey, let me ask you, what gateway are you guys using? In your conversation with them about their program, they'll think you're in the know already. They go, oh yeah, well we use Authorize.net or VeriSign or EB4 or whatever the heck they're using. So yeah, you're already okay in the game. Good question.
Oh, great. Okay.
And you like those accounts? Yeah, again, like those accounts. Because everybody and their brother's not knocking on their door like at a retailer. So, and there's more money in key business than there is in retail business. So, I like what you're doing. That's a great approach.
And Chuck, and another thing, I've done a lot of network marketing, with different types of companies, multi-level marketing. Yeah. And there's this one company that I still have a relationship with, and I do know for a fact that the only way you can sign on with this company is either with a debit card or a credit card, and then they hit your debit or credit card every month for the auto ship. Well, I know for a fact that there's over 100,000 distributors worldwide that are somehow or another in some way transacting with this company.
Sure.
So, is this a company that we can go after?
Those are a little different beasts. Anytime you have auto bill and that kind of what I tell everybody when they ask me questions like that is I always say, if they accept credit cards, if you're dealing with someone who's already accepting credit cards, it all boils down to one thing: get the merchant statement. Whatever you can do, get the merchant statements, because the merchant statements are going to tell us a story. They're going to tell us where the merchant is, what kind of problems, if there is any. So just go out and get the statements, man. We'd love to entertain it. And if it makes sense for you that you can make a little money doing it and it makes sense for the liability side, we'll go after it.
Cool. Thanks.
Definitely. Cool. Yeah, excellent. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. All right, guys, you know what? We appreciate your time today. Next week we'll be here. Bring your stuff, whatever you run into this week, bring it for next week. We'll talk about it. Cam, thank you for sharing your successes. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Question?
There you go, guys. He's getting $20,000 out of the portfolio. Unexpected this year. Ray, Bill, thanks everybody. We appreciate it. We'll see you guys next week, okay?
Okay, Chuck. Thanks for your help.
Thanks, guys. Yep, have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.